Well, welcome. This is Tampahometalk, and this is going to be our final show of 2019.
So, like everything else, should we do some kind of top 10, top 20, top 30, and just repeat it every other hour for the rest of the year?
We're not going to do that. But this first hour, we are going to talk a little bit about some of the housing market predictions going into 2020. This is information from Florida Realtors. So they have a lot of economists that spend a ton of money and time and hours analyzing and researching a lot of the data that goes into this. So I thought I would share it with you and also talk about some of the things that are on here. So the interesting thing, and I was trying to pull the stats, but of course Florida Realtors has moved everything around on us, so we can't find it right when we need it, but we'll continue to look for that.
Wouldn't that be called spring cleaning?
Yeah.
They did their spring
you would
cleaning?
think, right? Like not right before the holidays. But basically what they're saying is according to 2019, it was a great year for investors and home buyers. However, what they're saying is that it kind of moved at a slower rate than they were expecting, which kind of surprises me because the Feds did drop the rates and it feels still really busy in our world.
Weren't they predicting like a downturn? Weren't we saying around October of last year there would be a downturn in 2019?
And I think there probably would have been, except for the fact that the Feds unexpectedly dropped the rates right around that time. And I think that continued to fuel the growth in the housing market. So what they're saying now is in basically the third quarter of 2019, it's still a seller's market in most cities across the nation. And they're saying housing experts and economists predict that the next recession will be likely in 2020. It's going to be the start of it. So we hit those normal cycles, right? But I think as long as the rates stay as low as they are, we're going to continue to see a lot of growth and demand.
So what happens when there is the start of a recession? I mean, everyone sees the height of the recession, but what happens when there's the start of one?
So some of the things that we see on our end, and I know you can probably attest to some of the same things, Leo, on your end, is we'll start to see home prices like more, the purchase price is priced correctly when we list it. Then we start to see more reductions in price. We start to see longer days on markets. We start to see buyers pass up certain homes over very little things where they would have just accepted it in the past because they have more homes to pick from. So once the inventory starts to rise, meaning more and more homes come in the market, you'll start to feel some of those things in the market. So that's the very beginning indicator is we can feel it, right? When we have our thumb on the market, we can feel it. And I know you can too, based on like the number of inspections that come through, right?
I just need one good hurricane though.
Right. One good hurricane could make up for it. But your question was, how do we know when it's the start of the recession? That's some of the things that we start to see. And then when money starts to tighten, people spend less money on everyday things, right? Or luxury items, I should say, and more money on everyday things as opposed to the non-necessities.
There was one statistic I heard during the height of the Great Recession we had, it ended, I guess, around 2014, that they said when guys start buying socks and underwear, you can tell you start coming out of the recession. Because it's like, that's like the last thing we want to replace in our wardrobe because, well, no one sees it.
I didn't think you guys ever bought that stuff. I thought only your wives or girlfriends or moms bought that stuff.
Well, I must be in the height of some kind of Great Depression because I haven't bought socks and underwear in over a decade.
You're funny. So some of the questions we get are, so will the seller's market continue? Should home sellers feel pressure to close deals quickly? Right? Those are some of the things. And what does all this mean for buyers of investment properties? Well, to answer a couple of those things, on the seller's market, it's going to continue until we get into a balanced market. So people think it just flips straight from a seller's market to a buyer's market. That's kind of one of the biggest misconceptions that we get.
It's like an egg.
But it's not true. Like you have this balanced market in between where you have an equal number or a balanced amount of supply and demand, right? The number of home buyers and the number of properties on the market. So I think if anything, we'll move into a balanced market into 2020. That's my prediction. So that's going to be the slowing that they're talking about. And then will sellers feel pressure to close deals quickly? I think after the last great recession that we came off of, I think they will.
Because I think the only Great Recession.
Well, there was a Great Depression. That's what they were comparing it to. But yeah.
Okay, now let me ask you the trick question. What's the difference between a depression and a recession?
I don't know. That's a good question. Trivia question, huh? What is it?
So
the era in which it occurred?
No, during a Great Depression, there's less money and less ability to use it because of inflation. With Great Recession, there is more money but less ability to use it.
They just printed. That's why.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. But it was a big difference, I tell you, in the market between just the rates and that sort of stuff and then just the bailouts. I mean, we just saw a number of things that just pretty much jacked the way our world economy works, if you ask me. Now, talking about investment properties. So these guys we'll start to see more opportunity because with the market being tight and it being such a seller's market, there's not a ton of stuff to pick from, which means they will have additional properties to pick from, which means they're going to get sellers really motivated that will be willing to take, a lower priced offer if it's all cash, that sort of stuff.
So we're going to see the rise of the wholesaler in 2020?
I think we'll start to see more people purchase investment properties. Maybe some wholesale, but we'll just see the number of investor purchasers go up. That's what I'm thinking. And no one can accurately predict the future, of course, right? So everybody says, when's the next crash? When's the next bubble? When's the next dip? Nobody knows that. If they knew that, they would be billionaires because they would buy and sell at exactly the right time.
So the trick to fight this is to get a bunch of big companies to headquarters here in Tampa that needs to hire a lot of people.
That will be something and we're bringing a lot of that.
Tech sector, yeah.
To the Tampa Bay area. So that will continue to fuel our market here in the Tampa Bay market. So ultimately, they're saying the home prices and the appreciation is going to grow at a slower rate. So in the 2019 housing forecast, the National Association of Realtors actually predicted that the national median existing home price would rise to about $266,800, which would have been up 3.1% from 2018. And going into 2020, NAR predicts another rise to $274,000 as a median home price. This is everywhere within the United States.
That's a good jump.
Yeah, it is, really. And numerous experts actually have lowered their housing market predictions over the next 5 years with regards to home prices and appreciation rates. And so, according to Zillow, we love that, right? Their home price expectation survey.
Facebook Live's going to have nothing but Zillow ads.
Well, they do have a survey, and they paneled over 100 real estate and economic experts. These experts forecast that home prices will rise 2.8% in 2020 nationally, everywhere. So this tells us that prices will go up at a slower rate. Obviously, 2.8% is much lower. But the idea of watching home prices skyrocket like it did in previous years, we're not going to see that.
Yeah, I'm not
because
interested
it
in that.
wasn't real appreciation, right? We've talked about this so many times. So as for property appreciation rates, experts say that according to Vero Forecast report.
What's a Vero forecast?
So Vero's Real Estate Solutions.
Like the town of Vero?
They're a housing market data company, and they basically showed that the average expected appreciation rate for residential sales in 2020 basically the 100 largest nations in the U.S. will be 3.7% over next year, ending in June. So this maintains the rate predicted in quarter one of 2019, and it indicates basically a leveling out in fourth quarter decline from 4.5% appreciation a year ago.
So we're going to so basically this Vero people are predicting it's going to be the fourth quarter of 2020 that we finally start to see something shift.
They think fourth quarter it's going to flatten in terms of appreciation. So, which means basically your value is going to stay the same. It's not going to go up or down. It's going to stay
That's pretty good.
pretty much the same. Yeah. Now, of course, you can appreciate it yourself, right, by doing renovations and that sort of stuff. But just be careful not to get over improved. So the big question is, are we going to be a seller's market or a buyer's market, right, in 2020? Exactly what I said before, right? Seller's market or buyer's market? Where's the balanced market? And that's my prediction, is that it's going to be a balanced market going into 2020. And there's definitely going to be a significant shift in the market to favor buyers, right? Which we have not seen in recent years.
That'd be nice.
Been very, very seller heavy, meaning it's a seller's market. We've had here in Tampa. I mean, the last report we pulled was under 2% absorption rate. I mean, that's really low.
Do you think more people will be inclined to get home inspections in a balanced market because there's more properties to choose from?
I think they would. Absolutely. I think where some people may skip it now, I think they definitely won't going into a balanced market because there's an abundance of stuff to pick from, right?
I like that.
So, but according to their survey, 76% of responders said they don't expect housing market conditions to shift at least until the end of the decade. Why is that? We'll tell you when we
Isn't
come
the
back
end of the decade
right after the break.
in December? Like in a
Well,
couple
the end of the
days?
decade is now.
Yeah.
Right? All right, we'll be back. This is Tampa Home Talk. If you got some questions, you can text those to us on our off-air number, 813-377-2775. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. This is Leo Kane with Barrel Engineering and Inspection. Protect what matters most to your family. And we've got Katrina Madewell from Keller Williams and Tampahometalk with a bunch of statistics, graphs, whole tables just came to the table. I love this. It's so nice to have someone that can print all this background data. I feel like a real news outlet right now.
So this show's all about, what you can expect in 2020 for the real estate and housing market. And I think even though Florida Realtors produced this, they've got a lot of national stats thrown in here. And I believe, going back to what you said earlier, Leo, we have a lot of big companies and that sort of stuff coming here, which I think fuels us at a better rate for growth than some of these other national indicators. So anyway, going back to the end of the decade and basically things flattening out, they said they believe the annual home value appreciation, which has been above the historical norms, and inventory for home sales,
which has been below,
keeping an upward pressure on home prices. Buyers are competing for a limited pool of available homes, which of course we know that.
I believe that on the commercial side. I still can't find a building.
Can't get any of those locked down that we made an offer on?
No.
Nothing?
Last one went squirrely because he wouldn't let me assign it to a company. He
What?
said, you have to buy it as an individual. I'm like, you're selling a commercial piece of property, dude.
That doesn't even make any sense
It doesn't.
at all.
But, sellers are squirrely.
So the real estate trends are, as a result, putting sellers in the driver's seat, making it a seller's market across the country for at least the next 5 years. So according to this report, they're saying the seller's market's going to continue. And I think I believe that, especially looking at our latest reports that just came out, which is all the November numbers. I believe we'll stay in a seller's market. It just won't be as tight as it is right now.
Yeah, I would like a little bit more inventory.
I think we'll get more inventory, yeah.
Well, they're building a lot in downtown.
Yes, they're building
and
everywhere.
the funny part is, when I say they're building a lot in downtown, you don't know what downtown I'm talking about because they're building a lot in every downtown.
Very true. Yeah, very true. So some of this recent data suggests that the winds are beginning to shift already, right? So, for example, what they're saying is real estate appreciation is above historical average rates. That we know for sure, but everything is above the historical average prices, if you ask me, like from a gallon of gas to milk to anything. So it started
I can't remember the last time I bought milk.
I personally don't drink it, so
Really?
not much.
What
no.
about your bone density?
I don't know.
How do you get your vitamin D?
Almond milk. I've got an allergy to it too, so that explains why
You
I
have an
don't like
allergy to vitamin D?
to milk, like milk.
Oh.
Anyway, so there's in some of these larger markets, they're saying these average rates are starting to slow just a little. The pace of the housing inventory declines, and basically slowed price cuts are becoming more common. So the housing trends, they're saying they're noticeable, but I don't, and it's not going to shift right to a buyer's market. So I disagree with that report because, again, it's going to go into a balanced market before it goes into a buyer's market. I don't know how these economists just seem to forget that. Like, it's been a big part of history for years.
Well, economists are kind of like weather people. They don't have to be right, but 10% of the time when they're right, they publish a book about being right, and then they get more credibility. And
What about the other 90%?
they're wrong. Like baseball people. Baseball players only need to get a hit one out of every 4 times they're at the plate, and everyone thinks they're great. If I had that kind of success ratio, I wouldn't be around.
I know most of us, right? I think that applies for the person listening as well. We have to be a lot more accurate than 10%.
Weatherman, 10%. Baseball player, 25%. Basketball. Hey, Pat, basketball free throw players, what percentage do they have to be good at?
Trivia question.
He's not there.
He's doing traffic in like 4 stations. That's where he is right now.
But everyone has off today but us. I mean, it's the dead week.
So the question is 2020 a good time to list your home for sale? Are home prices rising? Or is this the best time to buy a house as mortgage rates are dropping? So let's start.
I've always hated this question because unless you're an investor with multiple properties, you've always got to live somewhere.
Right.
So if you have to move for whatever reason, now is the perfect time to buy and
It's
sell.
really not applicable when you think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, if you're buying and selling instantaneously, it's really not applicable.
So, but according to the experts, they're saying sellers can feel good about the upcoming years, that there's a lot of buyers still in the market, and I would agree with that. However, they're saying there won't be as much competition for each home as there was back in 2017. I agree. I think we'll see a little bit of a cooling market. Therefore, sellers are advised to expect multiple higher offers, to have a trusted real estate agent price their home reasonably to compete in their local markets. Now, there's a lot.
If you're looking for a trusted real estate agent, text TRUSTED to 813-377-2775. Text the word TRUSTED to 813-377-2775.
Thank you for the plug, Leo. I appreciate that.
I wasn't talking about you. I was going to get the referral and pass it on to my wife.
Yeah, that's how it's going to go. Yeah.
My wife, who I think her license went inactive.
Oh, we should put her with us and see what we can do to help her.
I was just using it for my own use to get access to the MLS.
So basically, I think that what's going to happen is, again, we're just going to move into the balanced market. And then going back to what this last comment was as far as like pricing the home correctly, that applies even right now in this market with a 2.5-month supply of homes. Because essentially, when you look at the whole thing, if it's not priced correctly, buyers are savvy right now in this market. They're going to move on to another home that is priced correctly. They're doing their homework. They're looking at their comps. They're not just jumping in. That's what we're seeing.
They're making a list. They're checking it twice.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, right? When we are going to go over the stats that came out for November 2019.
That's great.
We'll save that for after the half hour. And we'll dive into a little bit in depth. Let's try to get through some of this. So, what they're saying basically is, let me get to a couple of these key highlights that I had on here.
We should do a highlight reel, like our 10 best funny moments, and just kind of play those at some point.
I had a lot of those bloopers at one point, but I think they got wiped.
Bloopers,
yeah. Oh. I had a whole file saved with some bloopers from early radio.
Oh, we don't do bloopers anymore.
No, they got lost in between station changes. So
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not, but it would be cool to do. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be. But that would be pre-Adam and pre-Leo.
It would have been. You're right. But you guys could laugh at me. Don't worry. You guys would like to do that.
We like to laugh with you.
Yeah, of course. We would all be laughing about it. So basically what this says right here, and we get this question so much, so I'm glad they put it in here, but even the industry experts do not expect a housing market bubble to cause the recession in 2020. I think it's basically going to be that normal. You see a cooling it happens really about every 10 years. But
did the collapse of cryptocurrency cause the recession?
No, I don't think that would do it. Really do not think that would do it. But I still feel like it's going to be a great year for investors and buyers alike. And like you said, Leo, people move based on whatever their immediate housing needs are, right? Mm-hmm. If they just had a baby and the house is too small, they're going to be looking for a home. And that's the bigger reason right there. The only time we see people kind of make do or figure it out is if rates were to go crazy, like double digits or really high. It could price people out of making a different decision. Then we'll start to see
more room additions, things of that nature.
Room additions and things like that.
In-law suite conversions.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see double-digit rates again in our lifetime, honestly, just because they've been so low for so long. It would take forever to get back up that high anyway. It would just be
insane. I hear people tell stories in the late 70s, early 80s of 12% non-hard money loans. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, my first home ever was at I think 8%, 7.5% or 8%.
That's crazy.
That was perfect credit money at that time. That's what it was.
That's like almost car loan.
And
percentage.
Then the rates you're talking about, like in the 12%, when I first started doing loans, all the balloons that were in the 80s and 90s were coming due. And that was a lot of the rates on there. So to get, 8%, that was a good deal when you had 12.
That's crazy.
Home prices were a lot lower though, so it would.
Well, yeah. I mean, if your home was only $100,000, so the companies are the mortgage companies are still making the same amount of money. They're just lower rate on more money, more dollars.
Well, no, they're going to make more because the prices are still higher.
Oh.
I mean, they're higher.
That's why you should always. Here goes Leo's tip of the week. Spend an extra couple of $100 every time you spend your mortgage on your mortgage, and you'll take years off your 30-year loan.
Very true. Yeah, just making that one extra payment a year, right, for those months that you get 5 weeks.
Yeah.
If you get an extra paycheck, it'll take you down to 23 years on a 30-year note.
Get rid of 7 years of interest.
Yeah, even though they're at lower rates, right?
Yeah, money, a dollar saved is a dollar earned.
So, there's some really cool stats in here that I want to get to. So I'm going to fast forward on some of these just so we can go into it. So the majority of the experts, basically 51% of people, expect home buying demands in 2020 to be significantly lower than 2019. This is people they surveyed. Right, and some of the
51%. That's kind of funny.
It's a big
the majority
number.
of experts. Yeah. Well, they said experts. I wouldn't know who these experts are.
Economists,
because they're the same people that gave the same prediction last year who were wrong.
Well, there's things outside their control, right? Like the rates. They can't control
like that. The knowledge of what's happening.
Freddie Mac also expects rates to go up nationwide to 4.2%.
Where are they now?
I can't quote rates because I'm not licensed to do that. But
I mean, we're not quoting the rates, but where our rates give a range then?
Well, I mean, according to this, this is their forecast for 2020.
Yeah.
See, we're 2019. According to this, we're right around 4.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so they're predicting a rate increase of about 0.25%.
The cool part here, the Economy Forecast Agency predicted what they think rates are going to be like in 2020. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that after the break.
That'll be cool.
And then we're going to talk about who are some of these people that are going to be buying homes in 2020. And I think you'll be excited about some of this information, followed by our November 2019 housing stats. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. We'll be back in a minute.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Oh, pictographs. I love pictographs. This is Leo Kane with Barrel Engineering and Inspection. Squirrel. And Katrina from Keller Williams. No, there's just a pictograph.
That's me. Let's go back to the rates. Remember, we're going to talk about the Economy Forecast Agency, the EFA, predicted what the 30-year mortgage rates will be like in 2020. You want to chat about that?
Yeah. When did they predict these?
So this is pretty new information, but they're saying next year, January, we're going to be looking at 3.39%. February 3.47, March 3.45, April 3.5%, May 3.45, June 3.39, July 3.43, August 3.47, September 3.43, and October 3.53.
So rates are flat.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much like 3.5. I said 4, but that was there's a lot of factors that go into the rates.
Something else say 4.25? That we were reading a little bit before?
It depends on the whole scenario, right? Like, what's the credit score? How much are they putting down? There's a lot of variables in there. The higher the loan amount under the conventional or within the conventional loan limits, not into jumbo, you're going to get the best pricing. So there's a lot of things that affect what that rate is. So let's talk about a couple things here with regards to home sales and home prices in the Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete area. And so the number of home sales they're saying is actually going to grow by 0.6%, while home sale prices will be up about 1.6% locally, according to the 2020 forecast from Realtor.com.
Nice.
So nationally, the number of sales is predicted to dip actually by 1.8%, while prices increase by 0.8%.
That doesn't surprise me. That was the first time that we've seen a national dippage, and Florida is still like up,
booming.
Up.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to climb. So millennials, this is going to be the buyers that's going to be entering a lot of the home buying in 2020 and in that decade to move forward. So generally between 30 and 40-year-olds, they're going to surpass 50% of all home buyers, but baby boomers have little incentive to sell.
Millennials are 30 years old?
So let's talk about the generations, right? So the silent generation, you probably know this from trivia, don't you? You know it? I don't know it. I can never remember this. Silent generation was born what years?
The silent generation?
Yep.
I've never heard of the silent generation.
1928 to 1945.
Oh,
73
so
to 90 years old right now. Huh?
Pre-boomers.
Pre-boomers, yep. Then you got your baby boomers, and those guys are born when?
They're going to be basically right after World War II up to the Vietnam War.
So what year is that?
45 to 70 something.
46 to 64. Generation X, born 1965 to 1980.
Yep.
These guys are about 38 to 53. And then millennials.
Which used to be called Generation Y.
I know. Gen Y, born 1981 to 1996. Have they named the one after their name Z, aren't they?
Well, like I said, there used to be Gen Y, and then the boomers used to be what they're calling Gen Z now. So I'm sure they'll give it a different name.
So they're saying that, and it's interesting because we followed a lot of these reports over the years. Are
they called the silent generation because they're not doing too well?
The silent generation, because, well, think about it. There was no TV, right, in that time. The movies were silent, right?
No, the talkies were coming out in the late 20s.
I don't know. I didn't name them. That's a question for you, Leo. You didn't have to do some homework.
I just asked it.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. So millennials, again, that were born between 1981 and 1996, these guys have actually shied away from home ownership for quite a while now. Do you know why? Do you remember? We talked about this on the show before.
Because they're living in their basement.
Well, do you remember why? Like, what has scared a lot of the millennials from buying?
The fact they can still live with their parents and not pay rent.
That's part of it. But any other idea why they were waiting to buy? A lot of them?
Because of the Great Recession?
Yeah. A lot of their parents were affected by the Great Recession and actually lost their home. So a lot of millennials actually saw that, and it scared them away from home ownership.
Yeah, but if millennials are like 30 years old right now, wouldn't the Gen Zers be a potential market for buying houses?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. And in every generation, there's, people that are more motivated than others, for sure.
Of course.
But they're saying that these millennials is going to surpass 50% of all home buyers, but the boomers have very little incentive to sell, and they're actually going to hold on to their homes, according to Realtor.com. It depends on if they need the money to put into something else or not, right? You'll have some of the boomers that hold on to it and some of them that won't. But I think 2020 is going to prove to be one of the most challenging years for buyers, not because of what they can afford, but rather what they can find. I would agree with that. That's Mr. George Ratu, senior economist at Realtor.com.
That's the first economist that said something this hour that I approve of.
I would totally agree with that too. So the forecast also projects mortgage rates will be up to 3.88% by 2020. That was right on with what we talked about a moment ago. And single-family house prices will be up 6%. And homeownership rates nationwide. See, this boggles my mind. Homeownership nationwide, 64.6%. Can you believe that?
So, I mean, 64% of Americans own?
Our own homes, yeah, nationwide.
But, so a married couple would count as...
They're still homeowners, yeah.
Yeah, a married couple would count as two homeowners.
Yeah.
And two people who aren't married living in an apartment would count as two homeowners.
Not if they're living in an apartment, they're not a homeowner.
I mean, they would count as two people, though, against the 100%.
They would. But still, that's a little over half.
I think it's a little misleading. I think if you take the fact that if you have two people who are married who own a house versus two people who aren't married who are renting, you've got two properties being rented for every one house that's bought. So there's actually a larger... influx. I love tearing statistics apart, if you can't tell.
So let's talk about it. What's your theory?
The theory is there's more units being rented than bought at that 63%.
Are you saying because they're single as opposed to married?
Yes.
It could be. But there's also married people that rent.
I would agree with that too.
You're leaving that part out, right? Yeah. All right, let's talk about the stats.
Well, that would just further hurt the stat.
This hour's been pretty boring, if you ask me. I'm just saying.
No,
I hate numbers
statistics.
and stats. I know you love them, but I don't.
And that's why I interject some humor into the hour.
So here's the thing. I love to look at these. The only thing I don't like is how late the reports come out. But this is specifically for the 4-county metro area. So Hernando, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough.
Yeah, and I said this last time we talked about that. When did Hernando join the Tri-County area?
I don't know. I can call Florida Realtors and ask because they're the ones that generate the report. But I think when people started moving out of the areas for affordability, that would be my answer.
So Pasco's no longer affordable?
It's affordable. I'm just saying when people come here from other markets or they're looking and they're priced out of what they want and need in Hillsborough or Pasco, they're going to go north.
And then they're going to drive to Hillsborough from Hernando?
The expressway's right there. Some people do.
That's true.
All right. So let's talk about November of 2019 over 2018. I know this sounds so late because we're at the end of December, but we get our reports very late because it takes a long time to compile a lot of this information. But I want to start with the number supply of inventory. So
that's even lower than October.
Yes, it is. Because it was 2.8%, I think, in October, if I recall correctly?
October of 2019, it was 2.8%.
Yeah. So we have side by side for November of 2018. So as of last year in November, the month supply of homes finished up at 2.9%. We're now at 2.5%. And everything pretty much, I think, looks like it's better.
It does than October. We should have the October stats here too.
Yeah, we can probably get her to print those and we'll look at them. So the number of closed sales for November was 4,059 homes. Again, that's over 4 counties. So Hernando, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. And the number of people that paid in cash was 956. Our median sale price is $248,600.
Now that's an interesting stat because the October stat we saw a decrease in paid in cash. I made a big stink about
we
that,
did.
And now we're seeing an increase in paid in cash.
We sure did. Well, I mean, it could be a lot of things, right? Timing out at the end. Plus, the iBuyer models rolled out. We had more of those, right?
iBuyer.
So, like the Open Door, the Zillow Instant Offers, all those sort of things, paying in cash. You're still going to get less offering your home to something like that versus even getting somebody like me, even after you pay a commission, you're going to net more money. You just will. Well, I told you how we tore apart that Open Door or offer, pad offer, netted our people $35,000 more even after paying us and their seller expenses.
We should come up with a custom word that combines all three so we can talk about all three without
the
talking
iBuyer.
about iBuyer. That works.
That's it. It's called the iBuyer model. So the average sales price in these 4 counties is not quite 300, but we're almost there, 298,404. The dollar volume in November, we moved $1.2 billion in real estate in 1 month. And the median percentage of original list price is actually up. So 97.5% is what they are getting from the original list price, which means either they're pricing them correctly or they're getting full price, a little bit of both, I would say. Median time to contract, 28 days. We're seeing much faster times than that, but again, this is over 4 counties. Median time to sale, 71 days. So from the time they took the listing till the time they signed the paperwork, it was 71 days.
That's pretty good.
New pending sales, 3,966 in November. And new listings, 4,165. Means we have more inventory coming on.
Less new listings than this time last year, though.
We do have less.
That's that dip later on because all these numbers kind of tie together.
Pending inventory, so this is stuff that actually went pending, 5,508, and then active listings, 10,245. Again, 14.1% lower than last year. All right, Mr. Numbers, you want to dive into any of these and talk about anything else?
No, those are October numbers?
Yep.
Perfect. She's listening. I love this.
Isn't she awesome? Thank you, Mimi.
Dollar volume's about the same. We have... Okay, so no, November and October were about even. We actually saw it was the increase from the November 18 to the October 18. We had more closed sales in October 2018 than we did in November.
Our absorption rate did drop a little bit.
Yeah, that means we're getting more. We're conflicting the article more and more.
Well, I mean, we'll have the quarterly stats, right? Probably.
I love quarterly stats.
Those will come out in late November. Late November. I'm looking at November. Late January, yeah. So one of our last shows in January, we will do that. So anything else you want to add to or talk about on these stats, Leo? This is more in-depth information from all of these.
I haven't had a chance to review all these stats, so I would have to read them to know what to talk about. It's a very active listening industry. I always get interested in the amount of cash deals that we have because typically the same home will be sold 3 times, and to get to the last transaction, which won't be cash, you'll typically have 2 cash transactions. Auctioneer will buy it, give it to a wholesaler. Wholesaler will sell to a flipper. Those are all cash transactions. Flipper will then sell to an end user. So if I see the cash transactions fall, that means I can see the investor's pulse on the market.
Yes, for sure. We should talk about that a little bit more in depth because I think the average person might not know exactly what you just spewed out.
Yeah, we should talk when we come back from the break.
We'll chat about that.
Yeah, is there anything we can plug for a quick on the off-air number?
Yes, you can reach us if you've got any questions or you want to know maybe what your home is valued at. We can send you a market report, and that'll give you an idea what is going on exactly right around your neighborhood. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. You can call or text us to 813-377-2775. And if you've got a question about something that you'd like us to answer on the air, just feel free to text it over. It'll ask you for your email, don't worry. But it's 813-377-2775. And then we've got another exciting hour, of course, coming up here in about 15 minutes. So stick around. We'll be back. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. This is Leo Kane with Barrel Engineering and Inspection. Protect what matters most to your family. I'm here with Katrina Madewell.
That's you. And that's
my
me.
favorite topic, which is statistics, and her least favorite topic.
Yeah, I'm going to give you all this papers when you leave.
I need
so you
them.
can have
I
fun
actually
with
need them
them
for my Brandon meeting. We meet at the first Monday of the month at O'Brien, 701 Lumsden Road. We talk about real estate investment and wholesaling. Come check us out, 7 p.m.
Speaking of which, we actually have a couple of
listings?
those multifamily properties that would be great for investors, especially the ones that want to actually sit on their cash. Perhaps we can talk about those, and you can take those with you to your investor meeting, Leo.
I don't think they'll still be available on January 6th.
Well, I've
but
got
let
a
me know
couple
which-
here that are multifamily. Want to chat about those?
Oh, my God, love this.
And they're right in the heart of Seminole Heights.
Texas. Seminole Heights. We got 609 West Idlewild Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33604. This is a duplex. This is beautiful duplex. This is an old, beautiful duplex. It's built in 1960, so not as old as it could be. It's got a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So this would be perfect. You move in, you occupy the 2-1, you rent out the 1-1. That pays for your mortgage.
Or if you're by yourself, you could take the 1-1 and rent the 2-1.
And that more than pays for your mortgage.
They're
That's the way
actually
to
both
do it.
rented now, so you can wait till leases expire or buy them out.
Yeah, if you're a millennial, this is perfect because you can live in the property and you can rent it out.
I think it's a good price too. It's only $295.
Oh, that's actually good. For
Now
that
the,
area?
the MLS kind of moved our stuff around, so like if you're searching online trying to find something like this yourself, it's going to be really hard to find because it's hard for us to find because they keep moving
They
it.
keep moving the information around on the same page. But
They do.
I like this. There's a little trellis right here. Did that go to the other unit?
And then there's another one that we have on Caracas, which is also a multifamily as
505
well.
East Caracas. This is 600,000. This is a quadplex.
4 units. Yep.
This is the way to do it.
2-1, 4 units, 910
2-1,
square feet.
4 units. This is the way to do it. If you want to be a new investor, make money while you sleep, quadplexes are the way to go. Get biggest bang for your buck. You get 4 units, $600,000. It's a beautifully, look at this New Orleans style balcony
It's
right
pretty,
here.
isn't it? I love it.
And
It's
the 4
so pretty.
units are all separate. This is the way to do it.
And now this is priced at $599 because this is priced based on cash flow. Definitely,
Yeah.
because they're all rented.
I like this. And see, that's the thing. When you're going to buy multifamily like this, get a copy of the leases, study them. Annual net income is $30,000. Annual expenses is right here at only $12,000.
Yeah, gross income's almost $40,000 a year, and I think it's going to go up
Yes.
as prices rise.
Yeah, especially. And if we go back to the other one, because we didn't talk about that. So this is the difference between duplex and quadplex for the investor standpoint. My duplex on 609 Idlewild has a net annual expenses about the same as the quadplex, but the income is lower because you only have 2 units as opposed to 4. So you're looking at an annual gross income of $24,000 on the duplex. My quadplex, again, expenses are about the same, and my quadplex has given me $40,000 worth of gross revenue.
Yeah, if
or
you're
gross
looking for a
income.
place to put your money where you'll get a good return, it's
Yeah,
not the
both
stock
of these
market.
are very viable, especially if they're already rented.
They are.
Because the difference in renting I want to buy condominiums and to rent those out, those people tend to move in and out a lot faster. When you get duplex people or you get a family in a quadplex,
They stay.
They stay.
I don't know why that is, but they do.
Yeah, my neighbors have been renting the house that is next to us for 12 years. They'll probably die in that house, and they could have bought a house with the amount of money they spent in rent.
But from an investor standpoint, or you're thinking about where to put your money, this is a deal.
This is the deal.
And I tell you what, if I had it to do all over again, Leo, I would have done exactly what we just talked about a few minutes ago and occupied when I was by myself, right?
Yeah.
Or like me and my husband would have occupied that 1-bedroom unit, and I would have rented the other ones out.
Of course, it's the way to do it.
Because not only you can buy it as an owner occupant because you're going to live there, but you can actually use the rent from the other side for qualifying, which is crazy. A lot of people don't know that. And you can leave behind a trail of investment properties. It's the best way to get
Yeah,
to
just live in it
millionaire
for a
status.
year, move on. But yeah, I mean, so we got 2 beautiful. So if you're interested in what I'll call an investor special, text the word investor to 377-2775. That's 3777-2775. We'll get you hooked up. Both of these the nice part about these, they're one's in Seminole Heights, one looks like it's in Tampa Heights. You can take a look at both of them the same day.
Yes, and don't forget we're 813 area code for our off-air number 377-2775. Because we have 4 counties that are listening.
Yeah,
A lot of area
352,
codes.
we're not 941,
Yeah.
we're not 727. But yeah, I mean, you can take a look at both of these properties in one afternoon. You can put an offer in on both of these properties in one afternoon, see what sticks. do your due diligence, hire Barrel Engineering. These are older houses to take a look at them for you.
They'll find some defects,
We'll
make
find
sure you can
lots
live
of
with
defects.
them.
You can beat them up on price a little bit, and you're off to the races. These are great investor properties.
So here's a couple more properties that we have. This is one in Apollo Beach at 5217 Moonshell Drive. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and Harbor Isles, almost a quarter of an acre, priced at just $250. This one just hit the market. This one's going to need some work. It's a great property for investors. Probably a little wiggle room there on the price.
2008, so it's got decent bones.
Yep. Now this one, should we talk about this one for a minute? It's a to-be-built. So it's on Rocky Creek and Rocky Creek Estates, 4-bedroom, 3.5-bath, private pool. It's got a dock, waterfront view, $850,000 to be built. It'll be ready in 2020.
So how much influence do you have on a to be built? Like, I'm a buyer. I want to pick. Do I get to pick out finishes? Do I get to pick out paint?
Depends on how early that happens. If you do it now, absolutely, you can pick out a lot of stuff. You can probably even change the floor plan.
Do we know how far along this is?
We are not even to permitting yet. They're putting some public utilities down the street, and we're waiting on that. County's actually running the lot until that goes through, so we got some time.
So you have 9 months to decide what kind of cabinet you want.
Yeah, and then some, right? And then also, this is a great property, 36005 Stable Wilk Avenue. It's in Silverado Ranch. This is going to compete with some of the new construction. We actually just dropped the price on this one. They're really motivated. It's only $225 for a 4-bedroom,
It's a year old.
2-bath, 1 year old, and it actually shows like a model, and some of the furniture they are willing to leave. This one, I'm surprised this hasn't moved either in Weeki Wachi, but it's just vacant land. So
Oh yeah, 7210 Shoal Line.
Shoal Line, it's right on the water, so it's got a great propensity to be rezoned commercial. Definitely think someone should check that out. It's only 110. And then we've got another property, townhome style, residential elevator, 4-car garage, 619 Bella Loop, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath. That one's listed at just $400 in Bella Costa Mediterranean Manors. And then now Rocky Creek, you have the option to buy the lots as well. They're going to be building on 2 houses for $269 if you don't want to.
Wait, so how
build
much is
with
the
them.
house with the lot? Is 800?
$850, I think.
Yeah, so you can buy the lot for 260.
Not a bad deal, right?
That's neat. So how did your office be blessed with a subdivision to sell?
It's not a subdivision. It's 2 homes in a neighborhood. That's the only lots left.
It's 2 lots and a home. That's 3.
No, there are lots right now. There's homes going to be built on those, and the lots will come down once we've already got permitted
How
going.
did you get so blessed to have all of this
Well,
in the one subdivision?
like with most of our stuff, they're past clients and referred clients, and this is one of my regular clients.
Okay. So happens to own all 3?
They own the lots they're going to be building,
Nice.
but we do a lot of work together.
Okay.
All right. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We have a more exciting hour planned for you with no numbers.
Actually, we
With
plan
Society
to talk
Wine
about,
Bar.
we plan to talk about franchising, and that's all numbers.
Just wait. We're going to have so much fun.
Number-intensive hour.
It's
coming up.
going to be more fun than this hour, I promise. For you non-engineers like me listening,
We're talking about alcohol.
this is Tampa Home Talk. Love where you live. We're going to fix it. Welcome home. We'll be back for hour number 2 in just a moment.